Okay, so here we are, November 15th. It is time to dig our dahlias at Fresh Pickins Farm. It's been a great season full of awesome blooms, and because of our cold winter seasons and the ground freezing, we have to dig our dahlias or they won't survive. This is a big process for us, but I'm going to make it really simple for you guys. Basically, all we use is a pitchfork to dig them. You want to make sure that you give, this is the dahlia right here that we're going to be dividing. I've already mowed it down. Since we had the frost, it's been mowed down. We gave it a little bit of time after the first frost so that it would put its energy back into the tubers. And then the next step, well, actually what we do before we cut them all back is we make sure we label them so we know exactly which dahlias we had in each row. We try and keep them consistent, but there's always a couple anomalies here and there. So you want to make sure you label all of your dahlias, because after the first frost, you're not going to be able to know what they were because the flowers all turn brown. So let's start the digging process. We're going to make sure we stay about 8 inches off of our dahlia here, and just really take the pitchfork. The soil should be nice and soft around it, and you don't want to pull back so much that these tines go up into the tuber and potentially damage it. So give yourself plenty of berth around it, nice and easy around it. And I can see that this tuber is starting to free up. So what I'll do is I'll just, with one hand, I'll give this a little bit of leverage, and I'll pull on the roots, just gently and slowly. I'm not forcing it at all. And that's what the tuber looks like after one season. When we planted this, it was only one of these little tubers. And now you've got this mass of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different tubers coming off. So next step will be to take this, clean it off, and we'll be able to see where the eyes are. And we like to do our divisions in the fall because we have so many different varieties. It saves space for us. But you can leave it as a clump too. If you're only doing a few, say less than, a dozen dahlia plants, it might be easier to leave it as a clump like this when you store it. And then come spring, you'll be able to see where all the eyes are shooting off, and you can divide in the spring. So there's two ways. You can dig, you have to dig them no matter what. You can wash, divide in the fall, or you can wash, keep it as a big clump, and divide in the spring. Both work well, but the process of storage is critical. We're going to have to make sure we keep this at just the right temperature, and we'll talk about that some more in just a little bit. Okay, so the next step is going to be washing the dirt off the dahlias. So you've delicately dug your dahlias. We're kind of set up in a little bit more production style, but if you have 1 or 2 dahlias, you can do this outside at a hose, or if you need to, you can do it inside if your water's turned off. This is a really easy process. You just get the hose at like a nice pressure, grab it by the stem, and really quickly just kind of spray it down, get all the excess dirt off of it. Really easy, really quick. Some of them will have a little bit more dirt on them, that's okay. It should come right off. And what this is going to help you do, it's going to help you see where to make your divisions. Really simple. Now they're ready to divide, and we'll show you that step. Okay, so now that you've got your tubers all dug and washed, it's time to divide. And we divide in the fall for a couple reasons. Because we're doing so many, it really saves on space. If you divide them now, you can fit up to a couple hundred in a big Rubbermaid bin. So I like to divide in the fall, but it takes a little bit of a keen eye and a little bit of practice to be able to check out where the eyes are. Because the most critical part is that if your dahlia doesn't have an eye is where the sprouts are going to shoot from next spring. If it doesn't have an eye, it's not going to grow a dahlia. There's that's kind of the hard rule there. If it doesn't have an eye, it's not going to grow a dahlia. So you really want to make sure that when you do your divisions that you have a location with an eye. Okay, so this is during the division process, this is where it gets a little bit more technical. You can see the body of the tuber. There's a lot of different bodies here. So keep in mind too that when this was first planted, it was just one of these, and it's become this mass of all these different tubers. So there's a lot of opportunity for divisions here. Are you gonna make every single one of these tubers into a division? Probably not, but you just by looking at this, we'll be able to get at least 5, I can tell, probably more. So these are the points right here. They're up along the stem, just at the base of the stem here, along this crown here where I'm putting my shears. These are all where eyes are going to come out of. Some varieties you can really see the eyes more than others. So it's really important that we need to include that in this tuber. Right here is another eye. So in the beginning, you just want to kind of dive in there. I like to get right in there, and to make this first cut, it's kind of like surgery almost, where I'm going to get in here and just try and extract this first one out. So boom, that's one right here. You can see it's got the eye, it's got a fully intact neck, and a good body to it. This is like the energy pack that's going to give it energy in the spring. And then what I do is I cut the tails off, just like that. And then we put these out on screens to dry a little bit more, not a lot. You just want the surface, the exterior surface, to be like a potato. It's not wet, there's a little bit of excess moisture here. We want that gone for storage. If it has too much excess moisture, it's definitely gonna rot. So we get all these little tails off, and this is a tuber that's ready to be dried out just a little bit more, no more than a day, and then it's ready to be stored for the winter.